Nico Rhodes.
A low C's only here in the morning. Leave me alone.
That was amazing. Thank you. Okay. Ha 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 ha. The power of zeal. And you can think of this as enthusiasm. Same thing, right? Zeal, enthusiasm. The core idea being the fire you've been waiting for is already within you. Do you get that? That it's already in you. There's nothing we need to look for out there to fire us up. However, we can get stuck in that place of, what am I doing with my life? What is all of this for? I can't seem to get up in the morning. I know exactly what that feels like, believe me, that you get stuck in these patterns of not knowing what is there to do, what am I going to do, how can I motivate myself? And then we might get trapped into the idea of thinking, oh, I need something out there that'll fix it, right? That'll do it. If I could just get that next thing, that'll be better. If I could just take that next course, then I'll be ready to start this next thing. If I could just get that ... then everything will be okay. And really, what there is to do is to be, right? We be first, then we do, then we have. But we've been raised in a world where we think I need to have that thing, because if I have that, then my life will be better, and then I could be happy. Does that make sense? Yeah, right? But really what we need to do first is be happy. We actually need to bring that on ourselves. You could think of it as like cultivating within ourselves this love for life, this zeal or zest for life, right? Where we're just like, I actually woke up this morning. I challenge everybody, do that this week. As soon as you wake up, just think like, hey, I woke up. Like, man, I get another go. It's another day that I get to have at that thing. Because if I didn't wake up, what would be the alternative? Not that we're not all going to face that someday, right? Like that day is coming. There's no doubt about that. But in the interim, the idea is to live our life. Eric Butterworth says that each of us has this eternal flame that never goes out. It may burn low like a pilot light, but it's never extinguished. So the question is not, where can I find it, but how will I awaken it? That's the thing to sit in. When we're feeling that low energy, when we're feeling like the pilot light is all that's lit, the thing to do is to sit in that as what do I need to do? What am I being invited to do right now? What is there for me to do in my life that would enliven this? And maybe it's just one little thing that you can start to do. Because, a lot of times the thing is we get this idea that I have to make this major change, like this major change here, for example, of rearranging all the seats and having Nico sing on a Sunday morning, and that's going to change everything. And yet, whether the seats are this way or that way, does it really matter? No, it really doesn't. That's not the thing. It's how we show up, right? It's how we actually invite this. So Butterworth calls it the celestial spark of fire, which one may desecrate but never quite lose. So this thing, have you ever sort of thrown water on your own fire? Right, your own spark. So, when I was going through seminary, I had to do these. I've shared this with you before. I had to do these E&Os, where they would evaluate me, and LNOs, where they would evaluate me, and I had to interview with these teams, and then they would decide whether I was on the correct path or not, and I needed 2 teams to say yes, and then I would continue on. So I did 2 of those every single year through seminary, where I would have those meetings. And what they always wanted you to do is they would ask you these questions like, tell us about a time when you were struggling with a close friend of yours or a group of people. What was the struggle and how did you overcome it? And they don't want stuff from 15 years ago. They want real stuff that's happened since the last time you met them, right? So I have an example for you that's very recent on this putting out our own flame, this desecrating the spirit within. So you may notice that at times I'm very passionate about my experience of being a minister and being in unity. And it's been a great thing for me personally, for my life. But a few weeks ago, Leslie and I were out for dinner. We were driving home, and she asked me what was going on, and I said, well, I'll tell you this, but I'm not looking for I don't need any fixing or anything. I'll just share with you what's going on with me. And it was Saturday night, and the next day was service, and I was feeling really challenged about my role at Unity Vancouver Island, and in particular, coming into Nanaimo to speak on a Sunday. I wasn't feeling the vibrance that I normally have or that I used to have. And the reason was that I had caught some wind of, in other words, I heard some rumblings that there were a few people that don't really like the way I minister. They just don't like it. And so they don't come. And I was stuck in this narrative of, oh, people don't like me, and maybe I shouldn't be doing this, and I'm probably not very good. Like all of those things that, does anybody here know what I'm talking about? The cycle, right? So I went, I was struggling with this whole idea of, I'm actually not feeling good about going tomorrow. And yet this is what I've worked so hard for. It made no sense, right? Except for that. And what I had to do was just come to terms with that. And so how do you do that, right? What's a tool that you could do? So I decided that, well, wait a second. The last time I did this on a Sunday, there was like 40 people on Sunday. So why don't I just focus on those people and not the few that might not really like me? Because that's going to happen no matter what I do in my life, right? So it was incumbent upon me to find something to, sort of like that little thread. What is a thread that I can grab onto and start pulling myself out of this self-deprecating garbage that I'm swimming in, of woe is me and whatever else you want to call it, and start to climb out to get to a place where, hey, I get to do this. And so my point is that no matter where you are in this journey, whatever it looks like, you're going to run into this. Some people are really good at just moving on very quickly and they don't make a deal out of it. And others, they might stir in there for a while. I can be a bit of both. Sometimes I can be like, hey, I really don't care. Like somebody that I know really well doesn't like that my pants aren't quite long enough. See, you all looked, right? See, but the pants don't quite go all the way to the bottom, and you can see my socks. And I'm like, I don't care, because my pants are comfortable. So if somebody doesn't like that they can see my socks, they don't have to look. It's very simple.
Nice sock.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the nice socks. So something like that doesn't really bother me that much. Like I can just whatever, I'm okay with that, as long as I'm comfortable. But something like, oh, this is my big thing in life that I do, and to hear that was really like, oh, I started to go in on myself and start to turn the tide against myself. Like I didn't need any help from anybody else. I was quite capable of running myself into the ground. Anybody? Yeah? Yeah, okay. Yeah. So it's really about affirming something new for yourself, right? Or remembering why you're here, or remembering something more than yourself, and finding that thing, whatever it is. It's going to be different for everybody, so there's not like one takeaway. The takeaway is it's incumbent upon us in those moments to find that light, that we can begin to sort of like looking for that one pilot light that we have, that we can now stoke and reignite the zeal, the flame within us. So the word enthusiasm comes from the Greek entheos, E-N-T-H-E-O-S, which actually means in God or on fire with God. So it's not about getting excited after something good happens, it's realizing that enthusiasm comes first, right? So it's this idea that the fire within, the God spirit within, the fire within us, that's what enthusiasm is. And if we think of the lighting of the candle, the Christ candle, that's what we're talking about, is that God essence, that creator essence, that creativity, that flow, that love for life, right? I'm alive. Like, what a gift to be here and to then really bring that into our consciousness and have that be a stand for everything else we're doing. So my drumming mentor, Neil Peart, little rush plug, in 2012, they were about to embark on a world tour, and so he had a whole new set of Sabian cymbals crafted for his drum kit that was now going to be a brand that Sabian would sell to the public. You know, these are Neil Peart stamped cymbals. And he put it so beautiful. There was this video of him talking about it, and he said, and so he was, of course, a drummer, a great drummer, musician, but he was also the lyricist for the band, and he's also written 6 books. And so for him, bringing forth that fire is something that he did, and he's very passionate. He's like, and if you did infect them with your fire, oh, that's good. Enthusiasm, the literal meaning of enthusiasm is infected with the God. And if you can share that God of yours, that fire of yours to light someone else's, that's a great thing. Right? If you can share your fire. We've all heard that shine your light so that you give permission for somebody else to do the same. That's what we're talking about when we say that. Shining your light. Right? The God fire within you, letting it glow and shine and burn brightly. And that might just be enough for somebody else to go, you know what, I want some of that. You know, I shared with you when I saw Reverend Patricia, the very first time I came to Unity and I saw her speak, and just the way she was, I was like, I want that. I don't know what she's got, but I want that. And so I went and met with her, and we talked. And that was the point where it's like, well, I got to do this. If that's what it's going to take for me to have that, that's what I'm willing to do. So that's our spiritual work, to infect the world with our God. That's whatever it is. You don't have to be a poet, or a great musician or a great artist. We all do our own thing that we're good at. We have something that we can bring to the world. And it's in that world of service that our brightest light shines. It doesn't happen in the world of me. Anybody been that? No? Nobody? There's only a couple people that have lived in the world of, where's my piece? What about me? How much am I going to get? Where's my slice of this? Yeah. Hey, I'm not judging that. You can live that way if you want. I lived that way. When I was, really into my world as a stockbroker, everything was about how do I get you to buy something because I need to get paid. Now, I may not have been thinking that, but the wiring from all of my schooling on becoming an investment advisor was, how does the house, the place you work, how are they going to get their money so that they can pay you? And then you had quotas, right? You had to do certain things in order to stay in the ranks and live up. Now, it doesn't mean you're doing bad things for people, but there's an approach to it that is different than the approach of, well, how can I be of service, whether I get paid or not? How can I help somebody out and not care about whether there's the check at the end of the tunnel? And so when we are thinking in terms of shining our light, I will bet that when you have served others, you have felt your brightest. You have felt like my life is working in being in service. And then things just happen to us, right? Suddenly, good things happen in our lives when we're operating from that place. When we have that in mind. And I'll promise you this. Ooh, you made a promise. So if we look at it, if we take the science and the quantum physics of it and the idea of there's an almost probable future that's in front of us, right? Like there's this moment right now, and everything that led up to this moment is exactly how it should be. And then there's a probable future that will move on from that moment to the next moment to the next moment. However, that probable future isn't written. See, we can actually do something that will influence that probable future, that will allow it to suddenly shift, that will take it out of that course that it's on and suddenly move it in a slightly different direction that was completely unexpected. And so every moment is a chance for us to rewrite the future, to actually make a statement on it, to say, no, this is how it's going to actually go going forward. Now, it might not be easy. It might not work right away. You might have to do some activity. Unity principle number 5 is, anybody? Action, yes. Live the truth we know, right? That's unity principle number 5. So we can do all of the other stuff and all of the meditation and all the prayers and the affirmative prayers, and that's all good stuff, but we can't just lay in bed and expect that it's going to happen. We actually need to answer the call and move in the direction of that so that we can influence that probable, almost certain outcome and suddenly make it different than what it was. I'll leave you with this, another thing from Butterworth. He reminds us there's something worse than never to have been born. To be simply half alive. And again, it's not to shame anything or say that anybody's right or wrong. I know what it feels like to be in the dumps, if you will. And it takes something to regenerate ourselves, or the word I like is to cultivate something else within us. But what else are you going to do with your time? I mean, really. You might as well just have fun. You might as well just stoke the fire. Right? Yeah, thank you. Live in the now. With the intention of something great going forward. Even if it's just to love more. How about that? How about it was you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to love more. What a great thing to take on. I can't leave you on that. There's one more thing.
I'll just one more question. Just one more. So there's this idea in Isaiah 40:31, waiting upon the Lord. Right? And you could think that, what that means is I should be waiting, I could lay in bed and wait for the Lord to figure it out, right? As if like that's really going to happen. But here's what it actually means. It's not passive waiting, but binding together with source. You can think of it that way. This is about binding together with that God Spirit, with that fire within. It comes from the Hebrew kavah, Qavah, which means to bind together or intertwine. So to wait upon the Lord is to get plugged in, to consciously open the circuit of divine energy flowing through you. So it's a dynamic activity. It means ignite the flame, to align with the eternal fire that is in you. That's what that means. So you have to be engaged with it. So waiting on the Lord is while you're waiting for the future to unfold as you want it to, you're in lockstep with that idea. You're moving towards it. You're inviting it constantly. And then things happen. Who here, or joining us online, has ever had stuff happen to you that was like, hey, I was kind of hoping something like that would happen. Anybody? Right. And we've also had stuff happen to us where we're like, I wasn't hoping for that at all. But maybe our consciousness was, sitting around in that muck, so to speak, so we kind of brought it on for ourselves. But the idea being that when we're working towards something and we're actually engaged and we have that fire within us for our life and that zeal, if you will, and we're stepping into the future with that intention, we can be really surprised by what happens. In 2011, I read Think and Grow Rich for the first time, and I was really fascinated by the subconscious mind in there. And I began to practice some subconscious mind stuff. I had some sayings that I was a spiritual being. I would say every morning, I would repeat these things to myself. And so when I think that in 2017 I decided to become a minister, it's really not that far off of an idea because of how much I was moving myself in a certain direction. So yeah, I was surprised it happened, and at the same time I can look and go, well, it's really not that shocking based on the work I was doing. I was meditating, I was practicing all of these things that when it showed up, it was, I'm going to do that. Now, if you went back to 2011, 2012 and said, hey, you're going to be a Unity minister, I didn't even know what Unity was, and there's no way in hell I was going to be a minister. So, you just never know what's going to show up. But you have within you the very thing in your life. It's you. That's all that's required, is you choosing and deciding what it's going to be and really feeling into that and embracing it. So with that in mind, why don't we take a few moments together and think about this living flame that is within us.